Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Stavakaya ca dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine Stavakaya ca dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya pratyoma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, where the Master has given number of spiritual instructions for us to practice. Unless we practice the spiritual instructions, we will not be able to experience the glory of God. It has been very clearly stated that God is love. Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned this in the Gospel. God is personification of love. So, it follows those who are seeking the experience of God should manifest love in their life. It is very important. Sri Ramakrishna says, if you must be mad, be it not for the things of the world, be mad with the love of God. Many good sayings are to be found in holy books, but merely reading them will not make one religious. One must practice the virtues taught in such books in order to acquire love of God. God is the very embodiment of compassion. He is always loving and compassionate. He doesn't care about our faults. We do make faults. There's nothing special about it. It's very natural. The one very natural thing that we observe in this world is all of us have some faults. Go to Him, go to God with the simplicity of a child, and He will receive you. These are the words of Sri Ramakrishna. What God wants is simplicity. If a man but tries to proceed one step towards God, God comes nearer to him by 10 steps. Such is His mercy. God being love has the perfection of that love, which is goodness. He sheds light, knowledge, upon those who seek truth and then put the acquired truths into practice. One who truly loves God will act in a way that demonstrates a sincere love of God. One must give God sincere worship and humble himself before the divine. Service to humanity is service to God. It is through placing into action spiritual knowledge that has been obtained. Unalloyed love of God is the essential thing. All else is unreal. Every country, in every place, people talk and talk about religion. In spite of so much talk, how much violence and hatred is going on in the world is really very alarming. Swami Vivekananda says, 1 ounce of practice is better than 10 tons of talk. Practice, practice, practice. Sri Ramakrishna showed us himself practicing spirituality. So, precept and practice must go together. The Divine Supreme comes to our level, to our human level, to teach us how we should love one another, how we should not hate each other, how we should manifest the divine quality of love in our life. Once a devotee asked Sri Ramakrishna to teach him an easy and sure way to realize God. When the master replied that it was love of God and constant prayer to Him that would enable a person to realize Him. The devotee insisted that he should be given only one prescription, as it will be difficult for him to follow both simultaneously. The master then told him that love of God was the basis of spiritual life, and started singing spontaneously, comparing God to a mother who will come running to her child the moment it calls out to her. Then he remarked that He was always there, though we did not pay heed to Him. How does one develop love for God? It is by constant singing of the divine names and His glory that one's heart becomes purified enough to love Him. Initially, the spiritual aspirant sings His glory so that love blossoms in the heart. But as love and devotion to God takes root, he revels in singing His praise. What was adopted as a means to an end becomes an end in itself. Though this enables a person to progress spiritually, one may wonder what relevance it has to worldly life. The benefit was peace of mind when discrimination and dispassion resulted as a consequence of love of God. The human mind is the source of all problems man faces. Man behaves according to his mind. So, how very important it is to keep the mind clean, but how we have totally neglected about the control of mind. It is favored by thoughts which arise due to desires. You can watch your mind by closing your eyes. In what state your mind is. Sometimes it will be horrible to see that. All sorts of things, all sorts of thoughts, desires, so many things crop up and completely disturb you. They won't allow you to think of divine. So spiritual practices are advocated with the object of realizing peace of mind. Mental discrimination enables a person to understand the transient nature of worldly life, will prod him to seek that which will give him an eternal joy. Dispassion is a corollary of discrimination of mind. When the devotee eschews worldly desires after understanding their fleeting nature. It is not as if human beings are unaware of the limitations of worldly life. Problems, suffering, old age and death are facts of life which stare us in the face of every day if you look around us. But it suits us not to face the reality with the misconception that they will not afflict us. This paradox has been pointed out in the famous Yaksha-Prashna section of the Mahabharata. When Yudhishthira was asked the question, what's the greatest wonder in the world? To which he replied that man entertained the misconception that he was immortal, even though he confronted death all the time. Spiritual life is thus the preparation man engages in throughout his worldly life to realize God so that he is not caught unawares when it is time to leave the world. Everyone has to go without any exception. That's the law of the universe. That's the law of the mortal body. If we love God for what we can get from Him in the world, we really love the world, not God. And we can never be true devotees. The true devotee loves God just for the joy of loving Him, because God is the beloved. We should not have bargaining love, shopkeeping love. The function of the heart is love and devotion, and that of the brain is to discriminate between good and bad. This love and this discrimination have to be combined for the purpose of God realization. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that a man will surely attain God if he possesses in an intense degree three kinds of love. The love a chaste wife feels toward her husband, the attraction the worldly man feels toward the world, and the attachment the miser feels toward the hoarded wealth. This means that the mind must be one-pointed and completely free of all desires, but the desire to know and love God. So that should be our topmost priority, to love God. When we start cultivating love, then spirituality really begins. It follows when you go on practicing love, to that extent, the negative quality of hatredness gets reduced. Finally, there should not be any trace of hatredness in the person. He belongs to the whole world. The whole world belongs to him. That identification with the whole world becomes when he develops love of God. The second instruction Sri Ramakrishna gave is, God is true knowledge. What Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. So, it's also called Brahma Vidya, which deals with the subject of the realization of Brahman. If you first fortify yourself with the true knowledge of the universal self, and then live in the midst of wealth and worldliness, surely they will in no way affect you. When the divine vision is attained, all appear equal, and there remains no distinction of good and bad, or of high and low. Good and evil cannot bind him who has realized the oneness of nature and his own self with Brahman. Brahman is the absolute reality. The universal consciousness is called Brahman. The all-pervading consciousness is called Brahman. God is the light of knowledge. And in order to obtain his grace and see him, you must pray earnestly to him to turn that light upon yourself. Somebody asked a question to Swami Vivekananda ji, one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Sir, can we achieve spiritual enlightenment at all? Swamiji replied, yes, certainly. Let me tell you a story. A man approached a sadhu for spiritual knowledge. The sadhu advised him to cling to the trunk of a tree. As the man did so, the sadhu directed him to leave the tree now and come away. The man held it tight, so much so that he now found it difficult to slacken the grip. Then appeared on the scene another person who hit the first man on his head a few times with a stick. Oh my God, he cried, and at once freed himself. Thus you see, until God strikes us with a stick of knowledge, we cannot attain it. Spiritual knowledge is within us, but we are not aware of this fact. Blows given with the stick of knowledge make us see that we have the power to free ourselves and that knowledge is there within us. The third point, Sri Ramakrishna says, where is God? Swamiji says, God is in your own heart. He is very near. Nearest point is God. He is dwelling in our own heart. Because of the screen of Maya, Maya means illusion. Because of the screen of illusion that shuts off God from human view, one cannot see Him playing in one's heart. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am Antaryami. I am the inner controller. After installing the deity on the lotus of your heart, you must keep the lamp of remembering God ever burning. That's the purpose of initiation. The purpose of initiation is installing the deity in our heart, lighting up the lamp of knowledge. And that lamp of knowledge must be kept alive by constantly remembering the deity. While engaged in the affairs of the world, you should constantly turn your gaze inwards and see whether the lamp is burning or not. Engaging in the affairs of the world doesn't mean that you must forget God and go in a haphazard way. No. In spite of your too much of hectic engagement in the world, inside of your mind, you should be constantly thinking of God. That's what Sri Krishna says to Arjun. Sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yudhyacha. Go and fight, but all the time remember me. We are all fighting the battle of life. But if you constantly remember God, then really you uplift yourself. Discrimination between the real and the unreal. One should always discriminate to the effect that God alone is real and the world unreal. And one should pray with sincere longing. Why world is called unreal? Because it's constantly changing. Every moment the world is changing. So, a changing object cannot be called as real. Then devotee asked, Sir, where is our leisure for these things? This is a constant question. No leisure, no time. Sri Ramakrishna answered, those who have the time must meditate and worship. But those who cannot possibly do so, Sri Ramakrishna gives concession. Bow down wholeheartedly to God twice a day. That can't you do? Bend your head, let the ego touch the ground. Give a blow to your ego. He abides in the hearts of all. God knows that worldly people have many things to do. What else is possible for them? You don't have time to pray to God. So what should be done? Give Him the power of attorney. But all is in vain unless you attain God and see Him. If you don't struggle, if your mind is not turned towards God, your life is considered waste. Though he may be reported in the Time magazine as the richest man in the world, all the wealth you are forcibly discarding when you leave the body. Nothing comes with you. Not even hair. Nothing. You came from the unknown and you go to the unknown. The mystery remains unless you struggle to realize the mystery. The fourth point is, Sri Ramakrishna says, God is truth. Just by practicing truthfulness, you can realize God in this modern age. Unless one always speaks the truth, one cannot find God, who is the soul of truth. One must be very particular about telling the truth. Through truth, one can realize God. That's why the spiritual teachers have pointed out to us, don't tell lies even for fun. To that extent they go. That must be, you must be very watchful and careful what you are talking about. So in order to stop loose talking, you must practice silence. In other words, keep the mind engaged in spiritual activities. A question was asked, what is truth? Answer, God is truth. And this materialistic world is temporary and fleeting. How can one attain God? One has to seek the company of a God communion saint who has the wisdom to differentiate between the real and the unreal. The next step is to repose faith in his words and live according to his commands. Through time, one will experience the true joy of God. Through course of time, you will realize. Again the question was asked, do you experience the joy of God? If so, how can I tell? Answer, yes. One who has truly realized God always remains blissful in the knowledge of God. Before such knowledge, the materialistic pleasures of this world appear cheap and artificial. Truth is not merely telling the facts about what you see or hear or know. These are temporal truths. Facts relate to momentary appearances. Truth relates to unchanging reality. In its full sense, truth can be applied only to what comes out of your heart in its pure and unsullied form as a voice of conscience. It is true for all time, past, present, and the future. It is not affected by changes in time or place. Time does not transform it. Creation does not increase it. Dissolution or destruction does not reduce it. History does not stain it. Truth lives eternally in full. The ancient seers called it Ritam. In Vedas, it is called Ritam. It is unchanging and cannot be suppressed. When you seek the truth, you are seeking God. Truth is God. Truth exists. So too God exists. Truth must be considered as life giving us breath itself. Just as a person with no breath in him becomes useless, life without truth is useless and becomes a dwelling place of strife and grief. Believe that there is nothing greater than truth, nothing more precious, nothing sweeter, and nothing more lasting. It is folly to think that that you have to search for truth somewhere. To know oneself is truth. How can man realize the truth? He can do this only when he experiences non-dualism. As long as he is steeped in dualism, that he and divine are different, he is bound to be raked by the opposites, joy and sorrow, real and unreal. So when you realize your true identity with the Paramatman, then your joy becomes limitless. God wears truth. The good seek truth and the bad are rescued by truth. Truth liberates. Truth is power. Truth is freedom. It is a lamp that illuminates the heart and dispels doubt and darkness. The effulgence of God is truth. Sri Ramakrishna exemplified all these virtues in his life. Please read Sri Ramakrishna's life. The discovery of truth is a unique mission of man. Man is a mixture of illusion, a mixture of Maya and Madhava. That means mixture of illusion and God. The Maya throws a mist which hides the Madhava. But through the action of the healthy impulses inherited from acts performed while in previous bodies, or through the cleansing done by austerities in this body, or through the grace of the Lord Himself, Maya melts away. For it is just a mist which flees before the sun. Then Nara, that is man, is transformed into Narayana, God. Nara realizes that is God. He becomes one with God. Universe is dependent on truth. If there is no truth, there is no universe. Truth is of eternal quality. No one can change it nor hide it. Truth is God. All wealth, all riches emerge from truth only. God is the embodiment of truth. Truth alone is God's abode. Dharma permanently lives in truth. Vedas, the repository of knowledge and wisdom, emanate from truth. Truth alone is the royal path. Truth is knowledge, infinity, Brahman. Wherever truth is followed, there lives Dharma. There is no Dharma higher than truth. There is no morality higher than truth. Through truth, you can experience love. Through love, you can visualize truth. The next instruction Sri Ramakrishna gives is, God is above all arguments. Because people are always drawn towards debate about God. Many times I read in the news, they were discussing about whether God exists or not. And then the subject was put to vote. In the vote it was decided, majority of the people said, God doesn't exist. So, one should not think God that way. He is above all arguments. If you desire to be pure, have firm faith and slowly go on with your devotional practices without wasting your energy in useless, worthless discussions and arguments. Your little brain will otherwise be muddled. Endless argument is to be discouraged. That is what is meant. You can discuss. Discussion is not discouraged. But argumentation, filibuster, that's not good. Ramdayal, a devotee, asked Pandit Shashidhar, Sir, the scriptures speak of Brahman's form as a projection of mind. Who is it that projects? Shashidhar said, it is Brahman itself that does so. It is no projection of man's mind. Then Pratap, another devotee, asked, why does Brahman project the form? Then Sri Ramakrishna intervened and said, Sri Ramakrishna replies very wonderful. When Pratap asked, why does Brahman project the form? Master said, you ask why? Brahman doesn't act in consultation with others. It is Brahman's pleasure. Brahman is self-willed. Why should we try to know the reason for Brahman's acting this way or that? You have come to the orchard to eat mangoes. Eat the mangoes. What's the good of calculating how many trees there are in the orchard? How many thousands of branches? And how many millions of leaves? One cannot realize truth by futile arguments and reasoning. Then Pratap asked a question. Sir, shouldn't we reason any more then? Then the master replied, I am asking you not to indulge in futile reasoning, but by all means about the real and the unreal, about what is permanent, what is transitory. You must reason. When you are overcome by lust, anger or grief, you must reason at that time. Shashidhar said, that is different. It's called reasoning based on discrimination. Master said, yes, discrimination between the real and the unreal. Do not wait for an opportunity to do a good thing. Do it immediately if it is good. In our times, what we need is love, patience and harmony. If there is a peaceful and loving person in this world, he contributes to the love and harmony of the world. Even if all the beings in the world love us, that cannot give me an iota of the bliss we experience from a moment's taste of the love of God. So great is that bliss we get from His love that there is nothing to compare with it. Love is the foundation of the world. When there is love, there is peace. Love and beauty are within every one of us. We should try to express them through our actions, and we will definitely touch the very source of bliss. Behind all great and unforgettable events is a heart, love and a selfless attitude underline all truly great deeds. There is a dangerous tendency of the modern age to give too much importance to reason and logic, totally ignoring love and faith, qualities which unite the human race. This word impossible is a curse on mankind. Try to remove the curse. Work hard and you will see that nothing is impossible. Receptivity comes when there is love within. Love helps you to be open like a child. Love makes you innocent like a child. Receptivity is the power to believe, the power to have faith and the ability to accept love. It is a power to prevent doubt from entering your mind. Receptivity is the ability to accept all experiences of life without reacting to them. A receptive person is like an innocent child. Only when you learn to love everyone equally will true freedom emerge. Until then you are bound. You are the slave of your ego and mind. Where there is surrender, there is love and compassion. Whereas fear results in hatred and enmity. Love is our real nature. We are the nature, we are of the nature of divine love that is shining in each of us. As love is our innate nature, there cannot be any manifestation of any kind without this power of love behind it. Today, everybody's love and devotion to God is like the love for their neighbors. When the neighbors do not give us what we want, we will fight with them. The more you love you have, the more love you have, the more sharpness and clarity you will have. You may call it a sharp or subtle intellect, but it is love that is working behind that intellect. Love creates smiling, laughing faces and compassionate hearts. It is expressed in sweet and pleasing words. You can choose both head and heart, but there should be a balance. If you choose logic and rational thinking alone, you are in trouble. But love will not create any troubles. Fears, agitation, tension and anger. Nothing of that sort. The love is innate human being. Bhakti is love. Loving God, loving your own self and loving all beings. Only when you have selfless love even towards an ant, then it leads to realization of God. Sincerely love. God doesn't consider other kinds of love as impure ways of love. Because all other kinds of love are tainted by impurities. So God doesn't consider them. Love born out of selfishness is unbearable. No work is insignificant or meaningless. The amount of love, the amount of heart which you pour into your work makes it significant and beautiful. There are no complicated or harmful techniques involved in love. Simply love the Lord. Untainted, selfless and pure love is a bridge towards God. We need to be able to think properly and discriminate between good and bad. And we also need a good heart in order to feel and express love qualities like desireless love, forbearance and renunciation should become integrated in our lives. A truly religious person lives with faith in the existence of a supreme principles. A great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, Durgacharan Nag, affectionately called as Nag Mahashai, he is one of the illustrious lay disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. He was a doctor by profession. Once, he cured a critically ill patient in the house of his father's employer, and in gratitude was offered a silver casket filled with rupees as payment. But Nag Mahashaya continuously declined to accept it and asked for only 20 rupees as his legitimate remuneration. He doesn't want more. His father was infuriated when he heard of it and said, "My son, you will never succeed in your profession, I tell you, if you go on this way." Father is telling the son. But Durgacharan replied, "Father, I cannot help it. What I believe to be wrong, I cannot do, come what may. God is truth. Have you not always taught me to walk in the path of righteousness? In all conscience, how could I have demanded more? False conduct brings ruin." So, all these ideas are given by Sri Ramakrishna to us. We have to assimilate them properly, practice them, with all sincerity. Never regret. We have wasted all the time, all this years gone. Don't worry. By worrying, you can't bring back the last time. Act now at least. Life is a continuous journey. So, until we improve and develop love and devotion, we cannot overcome suffering. Any questions to ask? You're welcome. You may say modern times very difficult to practice spirituality. The answer is, then be ready to accept suffering. There is no way. Even though it's very difficult to get things of the world, we don't mind facing all the difficulties. But when it comes to the practice of spirituality, we feel as if it is impossible for us to do practice. That's not correct. Practice, practice, practice. That is the summary of today's subject. Gospel of It was Good Friday. Hirananda had taken his midday meal at the Gospel Garden House. About 1 o'clock in the afternoon, he was stroking Sri Ramakrishna's feet. M sat nearby. Latu and 1 or 2 other devotees were going in and out of the room. It was the Master's earnest desire that Hirananda should stay for some time at the Kazipur Garden House. While massaging the Master's feet, Hirananda conversed with him. He spoke in a very sweet voice, as if trying to console a child. Hirananda said, he is speaking to Master. Master, why should you worry so much? You can enjoy peace of mind if you have faith in the physician. You are a child. Sri Ramakrishna said to Yam, how can I have faith in the doctor? Dr. Sarkar said that I would not recover. Doctor has already said it is cancer, it cannot be cured. Hirananda said, but why should you worry so much about that? What is to happen must happen. Yam said to Hirananda aside, Master is not worrying about himself. The preservation of his body is for the welfare of the devotees. It was a sultry day, and the room became very hot at noontime. The straw screens had been hung over the windows. Hirananda adjusted them. The Master looked at him. Master said to Hirananda, please don't forget to send the pajamas. Hirananda had told Sri Ramakrishna that he would feel more comfortable if he wore the pajamas used in Sindh. Sri Ramakrishna was reminding him of them. But we shall stop here. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the ties of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. How I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works be satisfied, for he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.